Hi, my name is Alawa, as you may or may not know, and in this video, you and I are going to go end in end to walk through and around these dating dynamics that I have put together personally and trust me, psychologically scrutinized. Not so much culturally because if you've been around, I don't really buy into culture that much. But yeah, everything I'm going to say has been filtered out personally, psychologically, and very, very importantly, from a very content based perspective or dimension, let's say. I don't know. But yeah, shall we? Yeah. The very first foremost thing on my list that I've put together, and I will try to not look into my book, but in case, because I tend to stutter so much. Anyways, the first thing that I think is very, very fertile when it comes to wanting to connect with another person is you understanding that you don't need a romantic partner. And as cliche as that may sound, because there was this time I'd seen one very short video of Jordan Peterson. Is my favorite clinical psychologist, or maybe he's kind of do some kind of analysis, so maybe he's an analyst. Whatever he does, he is someone I love to watch all of the time. I listen to him all of the time. So there was this time I was on TikTok and I saw this video of him where he was like analyzing, I guess, and it was about this song, I Can Buy Myself Flowers. It was just like that was not very good, because that is a woman trying to preach to women that they don't need a man. I don't know how wanting to be able to buy yourself flowers translates to you don't want a man. But yeah, this is not about telling you that you don't need a man, because why? We're trying to create bond here, so obviously you do need your partner, right? But having this mindset will help you love yourself more. And don't get me wrong again, it doesn't mean that if you try to get together with a person you're not gonna love yourself. I'm just saying, when you have this mindset that I don't need another person to complete me, it helps you pour more into yourself. It gives you this sense of independence, and that is one thing you really need. Why? Because the person you are looking forward to be with is a partner. Sure, they're gonna be there to complete you, but it is not really their job to come and then starts putting you together. That's going to be like a lot of work. You don't want to be a burden. And this is also one mindset that will help you. You have it in your head that I am going to meet the love of my life, he who is going to complete me. But during the course of the time that I'm going to be waiting for him, I am not just going to sit here, make no effort towards making sure that their absence or inexistency lifts me a half. I am going to, strive towards sufficiency, that when they show up, we are going to be full together. Because obviously, I have like a couple of love that I have garnered, that I'm pouring into myself, care, support, forgiveness, and everything that is necessary. So when they come, they are not going to be the only one who is pouring. I have got some that I'm going to pour into them myself. The next thing on the line is intention. You see, when you have to get together with anyone, you have got to be intentional. And this is very quite ambiguous in this context, because even the word intentional coming out of my mind carries some, sense of seriousness, right? If it is some kind of like other context, I'm very certain it will not carry as much tension, because intentional means being intentional, and that is it. I feel like it's even carry lesser weight, because imagine like when you're trying to navigate a problem, then you hear if I say to you from nowhere, like, just be intentional, like that confers some immediate sense of relief. But you see, in dating it can be both tensioner and relieving, because when you hear the word intentional, when navigating your love life, your immediate response may either be relieving or troubling, because one thing it could mean is calculate. And when you hear the word calculate, there is this aura of tension that comes with it. And here I'm not going to particularly point out someone as the exact feeling in this narration. Why? Because I'm going to take you both through the calming and intentional aspect of it. You see, when it comes to being intentional in dating, I will just implore you to have this mood peacefully and at the same time vigorously plastered and sealed somewhere up in your brain that you are dating for yourself, not for the culture. Of course, coming togetherness is cultural, but you should be doing it more for yourself, not for your friends, not for your family, not for the media, not for the sake of everything I'm trying to preach to you even. And that is why I said this particular factor is both setting free intentional, because now you are getting together with a person and intrinsically you are the type that loves to reply to messages soon as you get them, slash being with somebody who, let's say, they're busy first. Basically usually have to take the time before getting back to you, and we have been told and are constantly being implored to restlessly pay attention to details when getting together with a new person, to not get played, of course. So in order for you to make sure you're not being a total fool, or to check balance for whether you are the only one being intentional in the union, you have to give back only in the quantity that you are receiving. A rational step when fueled from a cogent perspective, but on a more fundamental level. First, that is not who you are. And that means nothing other than you are showing up as who you are not when you are trying to create connection. That is a problem right there. And if you don't think that is a big deal, think about the tension of your restless effort towards making sure you are not the one texting first, you are not the one texting last, keeping yourself in check and making sure you are not the only one who expresses the emotion the most, making sure it feels more like playing game when you look at it, because you are constantly trying not to lose out to this person. That feels more like playing game than creating connection, which you can only do by presenting yourself just as you heard, which gives the other person the chance to see you exactly how you've come. And as unreal as this may sound, it's also help you keep the wrong people out of your life. Because second, let's say this person is not busy, you will not be able to objectively tell if they are doing the same, making sure, or they are just not down for the union, because it is only by texting when you feel, communicating your feelings, which you may think is vulnerable. But if you will not allow yourself to do all of these things, you are denying yourself the opportunity to see this person in their truest light, because you are not showing up as your real self either. And this factor transcends to every other areas of your dating. It is beyond texting and communicating your feelings. You have got to also understand that this is your assignment, not of the quotes you see, not of the debates you stumble up on Twitter and Tumblr. Sure, it is very good and very important to take some of these things into account, as they can be very helpful and useful at times. I mean, I'm trying to do one now, but now you have to filter things you see, which may appear spot on the outside, but deeply they are rather preaching disconnecting. Because you see, some of the time, majority of the advocacies we see that are trying to help us navigate togetherness does more of the job of aiding us disconnect, when creating bond is what we actually needed. It also stretches towards making efforts, in contrast to everything you've seen that as a female, when getting together with a person, you just sit at the edge, do nothing, and just be there only to pay restless attention to what you're getting, when in fact creating bond with another person requires your active participation. You've got to be there, you've got to make efforts, because that is something you want to. Let's take it away from creating connection or any romantic whatever. Imagine something that you really truly want. Do you just sit there, make no effort, and wait for it to come get it yourself? Of course, anything that is meant for you will surely come and get you, right? I'm just saying, you can actually really, in fact, shuffle your way through and around this myth that as a female, you are not to make efforts in your romantic relationship. It is actually okay to make meaningful, intentional effort towards something that you want, that you look forward to being absolute. So the third on the list which I believe strongly in when it comes to creating connection, is understanding that a person may feel right until they don't, and that is okay. You see, when I was stretching out the previous point, many may have the question like, okay, what if I do all of these things and I end up being overly vulnerable and they take advantage of that? Olawa, are you going to take responsibility? You know, from the foremost mindset that you are sufficient to showing up as your authentic self, these are measures you take toward being powerful. You may not solely agree to these, but imagine the transition to how you have to. Don't get me wrong, okay? I think it is rather very negative to constantly look forward to, or deny yourself the chance to be actually present in your romantic relationship due to your constant and restive anticipation of it coming to an endiness. Let me manipulate the English word. But then equipping yourself mentally that it is perfectly okay for you to believe in your ecstasy, that a person is right for you and they ending up not. And when I was telling you to not care about the other person and just be you, that it helps you keep the wrong person out of your life, I'm not trying to rule out the reality that paying little or no attention to necessary details when trying to date may in fact cost you a lot. Like when you're seeing signs, but Olawa, I've told you to not care and all of that. I just want to believe that if you are intentional, okay, and the other person is playing games, it makes it even quicker for the game to come to an end, because obviously one person, seems to know the code and all there is to the game. So it is only a matter of time. Even if they take their time, obviously, to play more cheat code, the game is there to come to an end at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, if they end up not being intentional about you as they are about them, the denouement is breaking up, and more often consequently having your heart shattered. But you should know your strength lies in how much you can fall, get back up, and be good again. No regrets, because honestly there is no wasted time. Maybe we should use effort and emotion in this context, because you spent those gathering experiences. So yeah, wear your heart on your sleeve, okay? If anyone bumps into you, slip it to the ground. You should know your strength lies in being able to pick it up, dust it off, and wearing it on a even more beautiful sleeve. Trust me, you have got nothing to lose, just experiences to gain. The first one on the list is what I should rather refer to as a certain level of abstinence, but to not be highly conservative, because honestly there is no need to be. So reservation is the word. You see, while making sure you're striving towards sufficiency, showing up as your authentic self, widening your heart and everything, you have got to make very intentional effort towards sexual prudency equally. And don't view this as an attempt to tell you that having sex reduces your characters and all of that. I am talking from a personal and psychological perspective, remember. And for you to even get this in the very manner that I will mean it, you've got to let go of the prejudice that when you have sex as a female, you are at the loose end. I'm not an advocate for that. I think it is total bullshit. So we good now? Okay, now from a basal level, why you cannot be sure to make the right decisions all of the time when it comes to sexual intimacy, making sure you are endeavoring to be shared with your sexual bonding with people goes a long way in giving you a certain sense of control over your life in general. You see, being really guarded and very very circumspect when it comes to connecting with people sexually helps you maintain some kind of emotional stability, a deeper sense of respect, and the most important of these, which I personally feel is the most benefiting, by making sure you are sexually reserved. It's how it gives you a clear sense of boundary and feelings, this which does a really great job as fostering stronger sense of control, psychological resilience. This very gesture for everything helps you have a far healthier interpersonal dynamics, because it gives you the time to objectively filter out the dynamics of your relationship most of the time. Okay, so take away the pressure, relax, take your time before getting sexual with a person you just starting out with. I mean, you're in your 20, probably in your teenage years. These stages are most importantly for navigating and figuring things out and making intentional efforts towards, being straight with your sexual decision. Majority of the time schedule against these cyclical chains of emotional baggages that result from seeing sex as the most important aspect of dating, consequently granting access to people who you're not even sure where you stand with them, and on your part, what you truly feel about them. And this is not me trying to say taking your time and endeavoring certain straightness when it comes to sexual connection guarantee you an all-time right to decision making, but your intentions, as long as you are standing firm on them, gives you a certain sense of control over the overall decision and choice at the end of the day, and that is what is important here, you see. And finally, though, the reality of dating, of navigating your dating life is not limited to everything I have said, but definitely the last I'll be saying on this video is mastering the art of letting go. And this may sound very similar to the third factor, but they are quite distinctive in the sense that letting go in that previous context, okay, usually have to stem from having your heart broken by this other person, but in this context it is when you are doing it yourself. You see, sometimes you get to meet a really good person, they are intentional, they pour into you, they respect your boundaries, they are very good at dating, they are great at loving you, but due to one, two, three reasons, you can't help but keep feeling like they are not the one for you. And I'm not going to be an advocate for severing bonds over something that can in fact be fixed. So first, I will tell you to communicate your feelings. Nobody's gonna know if you're not gonna say. There is a reason you think they are great for you, so give them the grace. Also have it at the back of your mind that nobody is perfect. And you see, I'm not going to tell you to measure this culturally or any other means other than how you feel. So if where they are, not sticking, no matter how high or any other person try to make you see it, you are the one in the relationship. That is your relationship, and you get to, measure and decide. So when it happens that you feel this is a big deal for you, sometimes it is hard to let go because it is probably one or two or three boxes that they are not, ticking, and considering every other areas that they are very excellent at, you might be torn between staying and seeing if they will eventually change, or if even yourself may, eventually learn to bear with it, this which may appear like a very, intentional effort on the outside, because the reality is relationships really do operate on the basics of compromising. But then the underlying reality of this can be an even bigger problem in the long run, especially if you are betting on the changing, and more disastrous if you're deciding to stay is not an effort deep rooted at making very intentional efforts at making sure you bear with whatever it is, but from the fear of what if I leave and I never get to meet somebody as great as them. This resolution is calamitous, because one thing for sure is you are in that union no longer because you care, but because you're scared of making some decisions, which is very brutal to both you and this person. Because imagine they get to spend some minutes in your head and they finding out you're staying with them not because you really care, but because you're scared to make some decisions. What I'm trying to say is, when you understand that truly no other person is truly ever going to tick all these boxes that we have crafted, but still finding it hard to cope with this particular person, maybe this is your sign to, trust your instincts, because with that very mindset, you make it very, very impossible for yourself to truly be present in that union. You are merely holding on because you're scared to, make the wrong decision. You're scared of the uncertainty, which is a great disservice to both you and this person. So be honest with yourself and with them. And a bonus speech for you before the end of this video, that right now, you may feel like you may never get to meet a person as good as this person ever again in your life, and you may later regret your decisions. I just want you to know that as long as you are not setting unrealistic and somewhat self-engrossed expectations, there is always something good around the corner, and there is no such thing as regrets. It all depends on how you interpret it. That can actually be like a very big experience for you altogether, and you are actually going to be good again. Trust me, you are going to be good again. And with that, I'm gonna round this video up. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Alawa, and I see you. Bye.